Part 2 kicks off with Convoy as promised. With Skyquake and Drift there, actually the ride is a bit smoother. So we thought, right? Mech still arrives just like in the original. However, with Skyquake there, Silas is a bit more further back. Because, you know, I mean, it's a whole jet as well. So he's not trying to get blown out of the sky and stuff. So, yeah. Now, Skyquake wouldn't be engaging anyone. Not yet. As Optimus would definitely state that he should not engage unless it's absolutely necessary. As I think his firepower would be able to, like, damage a lot of the surrounding area. However, this is where out his rearview mirror, he actually sees a space bridge open and Megatron comes out. Skyquake obviously sees this as well and then turns to engage Megatron, obviously knowing that he's mainly here for him, or at least there for the Dingus. And considering Skyquake is one of the more powerful members of the team, if not the second most powerful member, yeah, I think it would definitely be vital for him to engage Megatron rather than Optimus and the others who still have to transport the Dingus. So the two get into a dogfight and then they clash into each other, smashing into the ground. To which both of them transform and Megatron simply states, "Skyquake, I was not aware what Starscream did to you. Come back, join the winning side, and we can together secure the Dingus." However, Skyquake does think for a moment, but he thinks about what Drift said. Honor is what you make it. Your honor is your choice on how you use it. And really thinking about this for a minute, he simply tells Megatron he will never come back to his servitude. And to which Megatron simply states, "Very well." He expected as much. And so Megatron fires his fusion cannon while Dreadwing spins around and fires his Gatling gun, causing Megatron to dodge. They both get into a shoot-off for a little bit until they decide to run at each other and get into a, well, fist fight. Now, just like in my What If Dreadwing, joined the Autobots, yeah, Skyquake can put the brakes off, can, beat up Megatron. Yeah, I definitely think he can. And the reason why is, again, pretty simple. Keep in mind, while Optimus and Megatron had the most back and forth throughout the series, every time we saw Skyquake or Dreadwing go against Optimus, it was evenly matched until, well, it was a straight slugfest. And again, Skyquake took the upper hand in that, and, well, Dreadwing took the upper hand in that. Do I think Optimus definitely would have won eventually? Yes, but there's also the possibility they could have took the opportunity to kill him at any moment's notice. And this is no different here. I think Skyquake and Megatron do have a good back and forth until Skyquake actually gets the upper hand. And this is where we actually get a very different scene like the original. Megatron uppercuts Skyquake and sends him sprawling through a couple of trees. And this is where Megatron simply prepares his fusion cannon and, well, walks up to Skyquake, simply stating, such a waste of a Decepticon. Oh well. Maybe your brother will make a fine addition instead. And so Skyquake, hearing this, gets angry and grabs one of the logs that are close by to him, and he turns and smacks Megatron right in the face with it. He then runs up on him, left, right, uppercut, kick, hammer arm, double fist smash, uppercut again. He starts hitting Megatron with every single combo in the book. I think at that point, he's just running out of combos at that point. And he punches Megatron till to the point where he gets to the cliff. And then, utilizing his own Gatling gun, begins to blast Megatron. It just straight up unloads the clip on Megatron, sending him tumbling over the cliff here. Skyquake is now calming down at this point. He was like, whew. Okay. And this is where he realizes that, oh no, my friends, my allies, gotta get to them as quick as possible. So Skyquake transforms and jets off, while Megatron gets up and kind of just sits there for a moment. He's like, oh, I did say he was one of my most formidable soldiers after all, so I'm not surprised, really. However, I can't say that I'm not disappointed. But everything is set, after all. And so this is where Megatron looks up and sees the helicopter of Silas. And he says, interesting. Humans that are evil. Maybe another time then. And so this is where Megatron transforms and gets out of there. And he still thinks about it. Well, how did someone as loyal as Skyquake really betray or desert the Decepticon cause after having one mishap with Starscream? See, he does run down the list. And keep in mind, he's like making his way towards the warship at this moment. Kind of damaged or kind of riddled with, Cybertronian bullets at this point. But yeah, he's still able to make it. And this is where he thinks about every Decepticon that's had a problem with Starscream. Shockwave, the Combaticons, him, and, well, now Skyquake. And he wonders exactly just how can he truly repair or make sure that this never, ever happens again. He could kill Starscream, but no, Starscream was a formidable soldier. He made him second in command for a reason, so what can he do to get the old Starscream back? And so as Megatron enters his warship, he simply states, "Starscream, I'd like a word with you," and walks off into the ship. This is where we then return to, the entirety of the convoy mission, And Optimus is thinking everything's going smoothly. However, this is where the train speeds up out of nowhere. And this is where he sees something else in his front mirror this time, or his front view. Soundwave. He was here the whole time with Megatron, no less. And so Soundwave destabilizes the train, right? You could probably say he hacks into it, or maybe he shoots something that, devastates the train here. And Optimus has to get in front in order to secure it. Keep in mind the other Autobots are there as well, trying to pull on to and hold on the train, as well as Skyquake at the front. However, this is where Soundwave utilizes the opportunity, since they're slowing down the train for him, to basically locate the Dingus and space bridge it through the floor, allowing Knockout to catch it. And pretty much he catches it carefully too. And this is where Silas looks on and simply states, "Well, seems like we have competition. And even more evidence of robots in disguise living among us. To think that some of them are more formidable than the others. I look forward to greatly examining them further." And so, this is where Skyquake does apologize to Optimus. He got distracted by Megatron, fighting his former master. However, Optimus places a hand on his shoulder and tells him, "No, you did exactly what you needed to do." And he's proud of him for staying true to his ways. But so, Autobots go back to base, and now we get into the rest of the episodes. Predatory does happen, just like the same as it does in canon. RC's entire flashbacks, we have, RC and Arachnid interacting and fighting. However, I'm going to add one little bit of detail, because I feel like it was just such a missed opportunity to add a little bit of character to it. And Arachnid, when she actually gets a hold of Jack for the first time, actually gives him an acidic scar down his cheek. So this actually goes to show that Arachnid is very sadistic and very dangerous. The next episode, Deus Ex Machina. I know these episodes are a little bit out of order, but this is how I would definitely put the episodes. Deus Ex Machina does happen with Skyquake not around. However, Drift is. So with Drift, this does mean the museum mission actually goes a bit smoother than it does in canon. However, Slipstream and Jetstorm are no match for Soundwave. So again, Soundwave is 2 for 2. Soundwave is 2 for 2. All right, he's 2 for 2 on the Autobots. But again, everything does happen the same, where Starscream, Breakdown. Matter of fact, no, Megatron would actually have the Energon Harvester here. So this means the Decepticons would actually keep it. Because again, Megatron is alive still. Still alive earlier than, or still alive in canon. They might say, okay, why is Skyquake not here? because, well, I mean, because one, he's a jet, and that would honestly cause some attention. But this is where I would have him and Ratchet heading to the abandoned Autobot ship. But instead of finding a disease, they do find some dead bodies, unfortunately. But they also find protoforms. At least 4 of them. And this is where they actually see something interesting. A log date by Chrome Dome. And Ratchet is actually excited to see this because Chrome Dome is one of his closest friends during the whole war and stuff like that. They were both medical officers that honestly did different types, but then they always had like a friendly competition. And this is where Chrome Dome pretty much informs them via an audio log that these are basically spectral Cybertronians, spectral protoforms, if you will. The technology used here is made to reanimate living creatures, or basically any being, into a loyal Autobot soldier bent on making sure that the restoration of Cybertron is basically basically done here. And keep in mind, this is where they actually see some of the fossils that were collected by the Autobots on the ship, or the Autobot drones, if you will. And this is where they actually see a T-Rex, a Triceratops, a Stegosaurus, and a Brontosaurus. To which Skyquake is a little uneasy about this because, let's just say he's heard about dinosaurs and stuff from the likes of Miko and Raph, because he does interact with the human kids every now and then. And this is where he simply asks Ratchet, is he sure about this? To which Ratchet says, yes, absolutely. Chrome Dome's never been one to do anything halfway. This is likely perfected. It's the best possible chance we have at turning the tide in our favor. Numbers even. And even if they're beasts, they'll be powerful and loyal. To which Skyquake is like, I don't know. I guess I'm simply used to Decepticon engineering. To which Ratchet's like, yeah, I get it. Decepticon engineering has always been better than the Autobots and stuff like that. But come on, we got some good stuff too, right? To which this is where Skyquake's like, yeah, I'm sure you did on the War for Cybertron. To which Ratchet's like, shut up. And then activates the, spectral protocol. And this is where 4 individuals come to life. That being Brontykins, the Brontosaurus, Maximus the Triceratops, Armatus the Stegosaurus, and Gygus the T-Rex. All of them simply, kind of burst out their pods, if you will, like a whole xenomorph. And they simply look around, and then they look at Ratchet. And they kind of just, look at him curiously. With Brontykins being the bigger one, his face is the closest to them. And this is where Skyquake is like, do we pet them? To which Ratchet's like, I think we don't. They are like living sentient beings, but this is where Brontykins kind of like points his head forward towards Skyquake. And Skyquake like awkwardly places a hand on it and then like moves it. But when he sees Brontykins' response to it, he's like, okay, ooh, thank God. Yeah, so he does pet Brontykins, and this is where Ratchet simply states, well, with that being said here, I think we're going to show Optimus on how we've actually gained something. We may have lost the Dingus and the Energon Harvester, but right now we have something better. These guys, the spectral bots, or the beast formers, if you will. To which Ratchet's like, you know what? I'll let Miko name it. Let's go. To which he opens a ground bridge and simply walks all 4 of them through. And well, if I had to say how like big they are, keep in mind, Grimlock's bigger than the average T-Rex anyway. So yeah, they'll be around the same size, or they'll be able to look like Optimus in the eye, with Brontykins towering over him. So Ratchet simply introduces them to, Chrome Dome's spectral experiments. And Optimus is in utter disbelief, but when he sees that they're docile and Miko runs up to them and calls them, again, man, I gotta think of a good name. The Armored Enforcers? Nah, that's not good. The Spectral Beasts? Dino. Nah, not Dinobots. That's already taken, right? Yes, that's already taken. And then she finally comes the spectral beast. To which Bulkhead says it does sound like a mouthful, but it is cool at the same time. And so this is where Optimus welcomes them to the team. And this is where they all tackle Optimus and begin licking him affectionately, causing the other Autobots to laugh. However, that's not where we end off here. We will end off with them getting a transmission from Agent Fowler and Bulkhead looking in shock to see Roadbuster, one of the most dangerous and toughest wreckers of all time. Keep in mind, we're still in Season 1, by the way. And this is where Skyquake looks in disbelief as he sees his brother, Dreadwing, with him being angry as he heard through the Decepticon chatter that his brother was a traitor. And that's where we're going to leave it off here, you guys. Be sure to comment down below, like and subscribe and share with your friends. How is everything going to play out? Can the Spectral Beast actually prove to be a vital edge in the war? And how will Dreadwing react to seeing Optimus and, well, Skyquake, excuse me, with the enemy? That's going to be all today, you guys. And, well, yeah, y'all have a blessed day. And I'll see you for the next part. Peace.